that's right. I'll have to fix this. Your Giants.
It's
actually,
Thank you.
It's actually pretty close. I need to put you on the bottom again. And then we get going. We are going into the best of 9 grand finals for the TING Season 4.
Yeah, I will say every season, with the exception of Beyond and Solar, has had kind of wonky finals. I'm really hoping this PvP holds up because I don't know. I feel like this is either going to be very one-sided or pretty close. I don't think there's an in-between. Not to call Jesse's prediction totally wrong. I just don't agree with it at all.
All right, well, we're going to find out. It's Abyssal Reef to start things off, so let's get into
the
map intro.
The Vespine is always greener in somebody else's base. You dream about blowing up theirs, but they have a real good race. Just look at the map around you, right here on Abyssal Reef. As ultras and links surround you, so make like a tree and leave. Under the sea, typing GG. Darling, it's better typing those letters, take it from me.
Here it is, the start to the Grand Finals PvP action. We are on the European server because Neeb said it didn't actually matter that much, so I think we're going to stay here. I'll find out after. But in the top left, as the representative of TING, the Yellow Protoss, it's Neeb.
Woo! His opponent at the bottom right, very French, in red or rouge, it's DnS. There's a lot to be said about this, guys, but there's a couple of main points I want to hit on before we get into the series. First and foremost, thank you again, Jesse. Thank you again, Ting, for making all this possible. Already a fantastic day through just having this tournament exist in the first place. Our fans have been super generous, too. A lot of little bitty bits coming in. I'm looking back. Of course, all of them came from Dove and Wolf, but a little bit of hundreds here and there during my show match series, apparently. But, guys, we're also on that follow quest. I'm actually going to do a quick check here on the channel. Before we went to it, we were less than 80 away. At the start of the Best of 9 finals, we're at 99,928 followers. So 72? I don't know how to do math. That might be wrong. But the point is less than 100 to go to 100K. So do us a favor. Seriously, please, if you like StarCraft, you like seeing quality content put on for free daily, hit that follow button so you don't miss out on any of it. And help us reach our goal.
Cool. So, follower goal, TING sign-up goal, lots of goals to have here. For these guys, the goal is to get 5 wins before the other guy. That is a best of 9. That's a lot of games. You said you think it's going to be...
Yeah, we got to reach across the keyboard.
Yeah, all the way to that 9. It's really difficult. You said you disagreed with Jesse's guess as to what the final score will be. I'm thinking Neeb 5-2 or something like that. I actually like Neeb is just really good at PvP.
I think that was Jesse's prediction. So here's why I think I disagree with this, though. And it's kind of what you just said. I think Neeb is really fantastic at PvP. And I just think it's going to be a blowout, frankly. DnS is a good player, though, and I don't want to take that away from him. Like, maybe there's a fighting chance here, and that's why I said, like, this is either going to be really one-sided or I think it'll be really close. That's why I don't think it'll be in the middle of the road, but I'm happy to be wrong. More games is always better.
Thank you, Rainy, for the Twitch Prime sub. So the reason I give him, I was gonna maybe say 5-1. That's why I waffled for a bit there. Maybe 5-1, but I think that PvP does actually have 2 good opportunities to get like that 1 win or even 2 wins. In a very long series. So I'm going to give DnS at least 1 win, obviously, but maybe even 2, like a proxy Oracle or a quick proxy Pylon. This is how Hellraiser got ahead in his game versus Neeb, that he eventually lost in a super long 30-40 minute game, but he actually was ahead for almost all of it.
So turns out putting $4,000 in a Matcherino declines the TING credit card as Jesse tries to gift people subs in chat.
Oh.
I think that'll probably get resolved. But yeah, American Canadian. I had this problem too. I got locked out of gifting subs after giving too many. Twitch's security system's kind of strict, so it might just be because he's using like a different card. I honestly don't know, but yeah, Jesse says he's gonna be swapping his own cards. So again, hashtag team Jesse in chat if you guys want a free sub to the channel. He has to give away 4. Obligations are real.
So we have finally a different opener here. They both scouted each other, saw that it would be a Nexus, although they didn't actually see the Nexus. It was obvious from the other parts of the build. But they haven't seen that it was a Robo versus a Stargate. And of course now Neeb adding on a Twilight Council, really doing the one of the basic of PvP openers that puts you in a good position almost no matter what. DnS a little bit trickier, but perhaps with a greater reward, as he even stacked up a couple Oracles, which Neeb just barely missed on scouting. Ooh,
this is going to be rough. The Adepts can certainly trade up for a bit, but the Stalkers will make sure this doesn't get too out of hand. But I don't know... does Neeb have... we're going to see the power of the shield battery here. Can the shield battery stop the Oracles?
If they're both activated on the same probe, no. But if they're split, yes. I think we found that out last PvP we did.
Oh, kind of like what we just saw there, saved one of the probes, but running away from the shield battery towards the army. Not a terrible idea, but then nothing to really protect the probes that are transferring. 8 go down, and Neeb now down 5 workers.
Thank you for gifting that sub, Diet Soda.
Diet Soda. Good to see you, man. Oh, more probes going down, though. Neeb transferring back, and again, nowhere close to the shield battery, so 16 workers now killed. This is pretty devastating.
Actually,
GG.
I was gonna say, it's game-breaking devastating. The fact that it was 2 Oracles instead of 1, that he didn't have units in position as he would if it was 1 then 2, or if he had scouted the Stargate at all, was one of those games I was talking about. I think that there are just like game-ending moves that are a little too easy to do in PvP.
Well, I think this is pretty evident in most mirror matchups. You get cut off guard, you don't do that right amount of scouting. There's a whole number of things that could kill you, and this was just one of them. What's that movie, Million Ways to Die in the West? Kind of like There's a Million Ways to Die in PvP.
Oh yeah, I saw like half of that movie. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, I normally like those dumb kind of comedy movies, but that was a hard one. I watched the whole thing. I didn't hate it, but I definitely did not like it.
Yeah.
But the name of the movie's awesome.
Yeah. On a similar note, I watched it's a cowboy. It's a number of people. The Magnificent Seven, the Magnificent Six.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah, it was the new one. Anyways,
it's the Magnificent Seven, by the way.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't remember the number, but anyways, I thought that was pretty mediocre too. I only ever watch these movies when I'm on like an airplane, but you know.
Well, I watched Magnificent Seven, the original one, when I was young, so I kind of liked it for whatever. But then I really like the new one because it had Chris Pratt in it or whatever, and I like Chris Pratt a lot.
I do too, which is why I bothered watching it at all. The only movie I think that I really, really enjoyed on an airplane was Your Name.
I still have to watch that. That's still on my to-do list. Everyone says how cute and amazing and adorable it is. It feels.
It's pretty good. I watched it a second time on an airplane, so that's how good it is.
We're going to hop into Ascension to Ire for Game 2 as we continue the best of 9. I was facing, though, at the fact Jesse finally got his gift card working, I guess. And Mate Man was the first sub gifted. 1 of 4. People are now hashtagging Team Jesse, kind of hoping they'll pick him. Oh, actually, where are we at with the follower count, too? We're going to keep this up to date, guys. We're looking to make base trade history here. Because I can't remember the last time I seen a StarCraft channel hit 6 digits on that follower count. So let's be the first one in a while. Let's pave that road. But for now, spawning here in the top left side of the map, it's the red Protoss, DnS, up 1-0.
In the bottom right is the yellow Protoss. He is Ting's Neeb.
Also, Kira1595 was the second person gifted the sub. 2 to go. So keep those hashtag Team Jesse's rolling. Of course, like I said, hit the follow button, guys. We're at 99,935. Ooh. Oh, Jesse gifted a sub to Mr. D-Roy. Mr. D-Roy is actually one of my favorite new friends I've made over in Fast Feast stream. So good guy. And he likes bad jokes. Or pretends not to.
He does like bad jokes or doesn't?
I think he does, and he pretends not to.
Oh, gotcha. That was confusing. Okay, so not a great start for Neeb, but just he's actually not had some like all great games in the Ting season 4. A lot of his victories, you know, eventual victories, 3-2s, 3-1s, whatever, have come off the back of some of really questionable games, like his series versus Solar. There was 2 games that brought him back to a 2-2, and I was like, oh God, isn't he actually going to lose? Reverse kill. There was games against Hellraiser as well, as I brought that up. That was a Corsair Cup, but still, where it did look like he was going to lose in a PvP, and then he brought it back. So point is, he's kind of become like a comeback, not a comeback champion, like a last second. No, actually, I don't think it was a good way to put this. He always brings it out at the end. He might lose 4 games after winning 4 games, but he'll win that ace match. So if you can think of a good descriptor, then let me know in chat. But he's been able to bring it to this point, to the grand finals. So some questionable starts, and the fact that that was a questionable start, you know, instantly losing game 1, in some ways is an okay start. You know, you just kind of say, okay, the Oracles did their thing, and then I died. Okay, GG. It's not that much to worry about.
By the way, just some sick community hype here. I was checking Team Liquid just now. The WESG stream is going on. Of course, they're in their semifinals and finals today, I believe. They're sitting at about 9.6k viewers at the time of me reading this. We're sitting here at 3. Yo, it's been a long time since you've had 2 big streams of StarCraft go head-to-head like this, but also it's just cool to see both streams are doing really well. That's a good sign for StarCraft. Because most of the time it's like, oh, there's base trade with like 10k viewers, and the next highest stream is like 1k viewers.
Oh, that's a good point. So we have DNS proxying a pylon after his Nexus was delayed. People say that the correct word for Neeb would be clutch, and yeah, I guess that does summarize it better than any other word I was thinking of. But whether he starts bad or starts good, like he still almost loses the series, and DNS is looking to get a quick 2-0 on the board. If he could actually gain a lot of momentum, certainly that's how Neeb has fallen in the past. Just, you know, spirals down and further down until he just ends up losing even without getting a victory of his own. Bit of an old Neeb, though. He's really improved in the last year with that type of mentality. But DNS still looking for perhaps another easy victory with a proxy gateway. Doesn't seem devastating, but this puts that fast warp into effect, and they can easily snowball if Neeb isn't predicting this, and he has no shield battery at the front, which is something he really needs against it.
Yeah, shield battery has been the one thing I don't think Neeb's ever lacked on. I mean, we saw that with that Hellraiser series. We know Neeb can take this to the late game most of the time, but maybe DNS just did his homework, man, and he found all the little weak spots in Neeb, the perfect builds to go for. I mean, this is brutal. This is so many stalkers. Like,
yeah.
I actually don't know that Neeb can do anything about this, frankly. Even with the shield battery, he's just outnumbered more than 2-1. GG.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, well now Neeb's gonna win 5 in a row to make Jesse happy. He's like, okay, there's the 2 free wins for the 2. Now I'll go 5.
This is, if this happens a third time, I'll say it's a bit awkward. For now, maybe it is just two victories, easy peasy. Still not sweating it.
I mean, I said it before, I'll say it again. Sometimes the just right all in is what you need. Either way, folks, that's 2 games, so we are going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes exactly, and we'll see you for game 3 on our return.
Welcome back. That was a very quick 2-0. Now getting into the third game. Still, Neeb's map choice is loser. That was harsh. Blackpink is good. It's a map.
The beauty of this, though, being a best of 9, is that there is more chances. It's a dumb way to phrase it, but we've actually seen this happen a lot. The bigger the best of, the better the chance for a comeback. And Neeb being down 2 isn't as bad as it sounds. If this was a best of 5, this is his last life. But Neeb's still got 3 in the back pocket.
It's really the speed of the 2-0 that is so worrying. I mean, these are very close games where Neeb at least put up a fight, but still, you know, start off with a bad opener, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's like, all right. Like, he just needs to not die to the lose out to the opener, but he's literally dying to openers, so it doesn't bode well. But can DNS actually continue getting him caught off guard? Like, that's what's really questionable. There's only so many builds you can do before they're like, okay, now I know what to scout for. And we're gonna find out. This guy's already up 2-0. It took like 20 minutes. In the top right, there's the red Protoss. He is DNS.
And his opponent in the bottom left, gonna be Ting Zone, yellow Protoss, Neeb. I was kind of cracking a joke during the break that like maybe Neeb heard Jesse's prediction and is trying to make it true. He's like, well, I could have 5-0'd, but I want to make sure my sponsor called the score correctly, so I'll lose the first 2 games and then just, you know, there's the 5-0 follow-up.
I feel like it'd be so much better
to
win the 4 games first.
Yeah, this would make it safe. Although some of the best players we've ever cast, players like Beyond and others, they would always have that dynamic, right? They'd go down 2 in a best of 5 and then come back to win 3. So I don't know, man. We've seen all kinds of different ways to approach this, and obviously nobody actually has that much control over the game. Their opponent's going to play a major part in it. And actually, on that note, we should talk about the prize money for this. First off, it's the last day of the tournament, so it's the last chance you guys have to go use the code TINGOPEN to add $1 to the prize pool for free. But we are currently at $5,109 raised, making first place worth $1,502 and second place worth $751. So there's a pretty big difference for a couple of games of StarCraft, and I like that DNS has come out the gate swinging, because for this guy, he doesn't have 3 WCS championships and a BlizzCon placement and prize money under his belt. That 1,500 probably means a lot to DNS.
I'm sure it does. I mean, Neeb just wants to, I think, be the best in the world, so losing even an online cup is like, damn. But he doesn't have to really worry about money, does he? He won't have to worry about money too. I think he gives it to his parents to get them to secure it, I suppose, for his future.
I get so weird when I hear about this. That Stats had talked about this too on the interview yesterday, where he just gives all his prize money to his parents. And I'm just so worried. Like, you hear about all these child actors whose parents spent their money, right? And like, so they grow up with nothing. Like, who is that? Not Justin Timberlake. There's like some young kid that was like a pop star for a while. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. I thought Britney Spears' dad was like really messed up and stole a lot of her money, or her mom, or something. It was like
one of the Backstreet Boys' younger brother or something. But the point is, like, that kid grew up and he had like no money because his parents had spent it all, like millions of dollars he was expecting to have when he turned 18. Not there. So I gotta get like a little worried that like, this is esports, it's fresh, it's new, and are the parents any more responsible than a pop star's parent? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know either. Really quickly, thank you to T-Wave for the 22-month resub. It's a very long time. We finally have a Nexus versus Nexus game with no Stargate in sight to surprise his opponent. In fact, DNS even making sentries here, so all of his gas is going into kind of more defensive units. Oh, same for Neeb.
Aaron Carter, chat, thank you very much.
That guy. I didn't realize that had happened to him. But anyways, it really, you know, they could try and foolproof it, like actually be there when their parents, like, give the money to something that like can't be unlocked until a certain time. But I'm pretty sure these guys don't care, right? They're just like, yeah, just please take care of it. Like, I'm gonna go practice some more.
Yeah.
Said exactly like that.
I don't have time to worry about money. I need to get better at StarCraft, Mom. So just take my money.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up and take my money.
Exactly. Now 4 Stalkers to 2 and 2 Sentries without that shield battery. That's a win for Neeb right there.
Well, that was the big thing. The timing of that shield battery is the only reason that unit died. So close to finishing up. And as we can see here, he's taking some okay pokes with the shield battery, healing him up. Even the sentry's not really going down here. If the pylon dies, though, the shield battery will be useless, rendered in air, and this is where the stalkers can start pulling through. But other side of the map, Neeb has to focus on these adepts. He can't just let these get through. Yeah,
this is exactly why DnS did not have enough units on his side of the map. It was the adepts dealing damage over here. So he got 1 sentry and a stalker, I believe. Yes, exactly. But lost 5 probes. Like, what was the better trade here?
It's tough to say. Probe count can sometimes be a big deal, but I think with the new chrono boost being what it is, you're kind of just getting ahead by a chrono with 5 probes dead.
Yeah, chrono does cost 50 energy. I mean, if you come back after Heart of the Swarm where it was 25 and it was kind of meh, this is a lot more powerful. So that is, you know, if it's going to probes, it's not going to a substantial +1 or blink lead. So it's another resource you have to consider as a Protoss player. Somebody's like larva management for a Zerg. Sometimes we see Protosses. Well, I mean, that's one thing I noted actually you guys show maps was sometimes Jesse just wasn't using it at all.
Well, the thing about the chrono boost that's kind of interesting is that dynamic of swapping it up for recalls later. We've actually seen some phenomenal recall usage. Again, calling back to, I think it was Corsair Cup last week with Neeb and Hellraiser. Mass carrier armies getting recalled by the mothership and again recalled by the Nexus immediately afterwards. There's like a lot of really cool use out of what the Nexus can do now. So yeah, absolutely a critical resource to manage.
Charge versus Adepts. I haven't actually seen this dynamic quite a while. Whoopsie daisy. Usually it is like maybe they open up with Blink and then eventually the other person got Charge, or we even see people try and go to Disruptors instead of any Twilight Council upgrade. But to see these two going up against each other so well timed as well is going to be an interesting dynamic. Eventually they're going to butt heads with these two vastly different army compositions. We'll have to see which one wins out. I'm not sure which one wins out.
I want to say Charge lots when it's not more than like 10 of each unit, but then maybe Adepts later just because they'll be able to one-shot them down.
Yeah, I don't know, because I mean, Charge is really fast, but yeah, a couple of them would die before even reaching the Adepts.
Well, yeah, and my logic here is the reason people shoot for Charge Lot Archon instead of Adept Archon is because how powerful Charge really is. So I think there's a tipping scale here at some point. We'll see if it comes down to it or not, because really, honestly, it's probably still going to at some point be Charged for Neeb as well.
We'll see. He is roaming around the third as looks like he's gonna take it. He's adding on a lot of production though, timing out with +1 and resonating glaives. And if he just spends a lot of warp bins, but he doesn't build as many probes, for instance, he could get that overwhelming adept count where it's not a question of upgrades, as it is just pure numbers. But he is adding on a Temple Archives. I imagine probe production will start for both of them up again as the Nexus gets closer to being finished. For instance, what DnS is doing. And these adapters are going to be used for Harassment right now.
Oh, there we go. Shield battery not quite cutting it when you do get the one shot, but if you don't one shot it, the shield battery will keep it alive, so it could be a nuisance. There's that 5 probe payback from earlier. We'll see if that really matters or not. The worker count's been even, but the income graph has, I guess with those 5 probes, really shot up in Neeb's favor. Jesus.
Yeah, it should be.
Is the shield battery blocking pathing on mining or something? Like, how is that?
It is a little bit. Yeah, that is a huge spike, but one that he's going to lose out on because he did not start building probes as Nexus started finishing up. He did commit everything into just building as many Adepts and a couple of Archons as possible. Now, the real trick, there's so many differences between Charge and Adept. Of course, range versus no range, but also the Shade ability that actually gets on top and in between the army, on top of the more sensitive sentries, for instance, so Guard and Shield isn't a factor. That can be huge. But not going to be shading until he really knows that's what he wants to do.
That big attack in the main, the Warp Prism will be pushed off thanks to the new Stalker Burst. That's cool to see. But that was a good distraction because DnS was not here. The shield batteries get torn apart. Even though Neeb doesn't commit to killing the Nexus, shutting down the shield batteries is a big part about shutting down the defense. While this goes on, the Adepts continue to transfer around. 6 probes have only died. Not that many, but again, it's more about the distraction than the damage dealt. Because now onto that third base, once more he pushes in, and Neeb has the superior army count here.
And now also has a superior economy as he's finally built more, transferred him to the third base. He's going to fall behind in +2 here soon and almost got all the sentries popped off to a couple of Archons. But continuing to micro with the Adepts, continuing to just distract so much army.
As we say, there's some Adept counter damage, but that shield battery is keeping the probes up nicely through it. What we just witnessed on the ramp there for a brief moment is probably why Adepts are better than Zealots in some of these select scenarios. But starting to manage things up here, Neeb has secured quite a lead through this. 37 probes to 55. That's more than a chrono. That's a big deal.
And now he adds on Charge.
And what's so sick through this is okay, Charge is a little behind, and yeah, he's gonna throw a chrono into it. But I didn't realize all this damage was also helping him bridge the gap of the difference for that +2 weapons. Because if this is a head-on army fight, Neeb's actually down in army supply and technically behind on upgrades on 2 fronts, Charge and +2.
He has plenty of chrono. He will be able to continuously chrono that out and match it as DnS pushes in here. It might even be a perfect timing with another chrono. About 30 seconds to go. DnS is not buying any time, however. He just goes in before it's done. Can he win? He has a superior army.
I like the Archon count here a lot. The Adepts aren't going to cut much through this. Without Charge, there's no point warping his Zealots either. He knows it as well. Neeb just going to have to give up a lot of this base if he wants to keep any of this army alive. Positioning behind the mineral lines is not too bad. The Archons are choked out by the battery. They actually can't get back here.
Yeah, it's such an awkward spot when you're forced to go behind the mineral line like that. On one hand, the Archons can't fit to splash you, but if they ever do, that's a lot of splash.
Neeb's trying to tear him apart, pick him apart from the bottom while trying to stay alive at the top. This is kind of a cool way to handle DnS in this situation, but that Nexus is probably just going to go down, and heck, DnS could either walk away from this or recall away from this.
Yeah, he could recall. Actually, it's Neeb who recalls. at least keep his army intact. Maybe DNS over-dedicates and he takes a defensive engagement, but he's still down in army supplies. +2 finally finished up. Charge as well, but I don't know if that's going to make up for 15 army supply. DNS has all the options here. He could just go back home.
This is looking grim for Neeb at this point. DNS is looking to be like, he's got that +3 started up. There's no way Neeb can afford to do that. Every mineral, every gas he mines, that has to go in the army. No question about it.
Neeb's gonna have to get some serious harassment done with his own War Prism. It finally pops out, but he's gonna be using it to reinforce his army. Might be able to catch a couple of these units while they're retreating. The units retreating though are pretty bulky. Okay, he grabs an Immortal. Can't grab that second one. Awkward force fields a little bit. DNS War Prism had a couple of charges. There's only a single cannon. That's going to be the rest of Neeb's economy gone. This is a real all-in here.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Army's not so bad right now. Micro-threaded War Prism can make a hell of a difference if it comes down to the really tight situations. But all that considered, I'm still looking at that +3. These hallucinations are going to be seen by the observer, but this can still sometimes cause some problems. Units will try and shoot over them, and they can't.
No!
Just ignore them. Oh, that War Prism goes down, though. That was Neeb's best hope to really make something happen here. He does take out the shield battery and catches an Archon with this weird ring around the rosy. Now forced to take the fight. Those Archons are soaking some of the frontline damage, but not by much.
+3 is about to finish, but not quite yet, and Neeb ends up getting surrounded. GG.
Wow.
DNS is surprising us all, taking a 3-0 lead. 2 aggressive cheeses even, although that first game really wasn't a cheese, just a surprise. But that third game, straight up macro, and he won it.
I really like the hallucinations. I wish we'd see more hallucinations in general, but okay, just so everyone's fully aware where this is at. Neeb has now got 2 lives remaining. He's going to use his second to last life on Neon Violet Square, but we're going to also swap servers.
Huh. Okay, well, they were being updated. Very, very surprising. I mean, there have been it's a bit of a history that Ting has had great, round of 8 semifinals leading up to the finals. The only outlier of that is Solar versus Beyond, which went all 9 games.
Well, I was going to say, we were talking about this during the break as well, and the one thing that the only good finals had was Rivka not being there.
I wasn't bringing it up so that the pitchforks come out and run you out of town.
No, it is funny because we've classically had every season, the round of 8 has never let us down. But in fact, the first season's round of 8 is still one of my favorites of all time, probably matched by this season's as a close second. But yeah, after that, the semifinals, the grand finals, they tend to fizzle a little bit. And I'm hoping this is going to be so epic with Neeb bringing it back and like this starts fighting back. We go to the ace match and all that. But this is looking very good for any French fans, any DNS fans out there, because he is definitely the smaller named player of the 2. He's got way less titles under his belt. This is a big win for him, frankly.
Not just winning the tournament. Not just beating Neeb, but potentially beating him with an absurd map score.
Yeah.
It's just all not making any sense to me.
Well, it is loser's pick is how we've been doing these finals. And so Neon Violet Square is going to be the map chosen by Neeb. Just so you guys know, if it goes to 9 games, there's only 7 maps in the map pool. So once all 7 of the first ones are played out, we'll repeat if it comes down to it. But yeah, game number 4 starting up. If you're just tuning in, Zombie Grub's not messing up on the overlay, guys. It is 3-0 in favor of DNS over Neeb.
Thank you.
Everyone in chat's like, I can't believe it. Is the overlay wrong? How is Neeb losing? It's just getting outplayed.
Yeah, he is. We'll see if he can turn it around through some maybe tricks of his own. He has not done anything aggressive yet. Could change it up here. In the bottom right, up that 3-0, it is DNS.
And his opponent top left, fighting back, not just for his own life, but for Ting. It is the yellow Protoss, Neeb. And of course, if you guys are tuning in from the first time on the front page, everyone else I'm so sure is annoyed. In fact, we're probably even getting some unfollows because of the amount I'm bringing this up. But folks, you've got really popular Koreans now streaming on Twitch like Innovation. You've got longtime streamers like The Muslim, and so few people in the StarCraft 2 category have 100,000 followers. We are about to broach that number. We are at 99,945. For some of you, this means nothing, and honestly, objectively, this isn't that big of a deal, but it's a milestone nonetheless. So if you haven't yet, hit that follow button. Help us out. We're so close to reaching that goal. 55 people away. Means more to me than subscribers right now. It means more to me than donations right now.
That means a lot.
Okay, so for this round, I mean, DNS, I don't think is dependent on cheeses. Like, I don't think this is something where, oh, DNS can only win if he wins in the first 10 minutes of the game. Like, we've seen this guy play late game. We've seen him play well in the late game. I kind of actually hope at one point we do get one of those absurd carrier games, but that's what scares me about this. There's no weakness for like, okay, well, if Neeb can just hold the cheeses, then he's got this. Because DNS is a very well-rounded player.
Yeah, that's what I brought up after game number 2, that it's like extra worrying, not just because Neeb has been caught off guard, but also because he's died instantly to it. It's another like situation entirely. If he gets caught off guard, loses 10 probes, it still kind of fights his way back. Now he just instantly taps out instead. And then the third game being macro game, where DNS just had the right move to counter immediately after getting like a bad fight, after losing economy. That's just good macro sense. That's just a good long game that DNS is now looking like a well-rounded all-around PvPer. But Neeb usually is too, and it's really just what is happening here that's throwing him off so much.
Yeah, there was a time where like Showtime was probably the only person who could beat Neeb in a PvP, but I like this. So GeForce, cheers 100 bits, says, ran across an underwear site called Commando. Isn't counterintuitive? Yes?
Yes.
And then
well, maybe...
100 bits. Oh, you used this joke on Stacy's stream. Shame. Shame. But it's used 100 bits to say, I made a belt out of watches once. It was a waste of time.
For the Commando thing, maybe it's like, unless you buy our underwear, you'll be Commando?
Whoa.
Makes a lot of sense.
Some dude named Commando just followed the stream. The timing on that was amazing.
100 bits, how does a French skeleton say hello? Bonjour.
I haven't heard that one before. I like that one.
I'm glad.
That's a goes in my back pocket one.
So Neeb had a suspicious little probe, but didn't end up doing anything. Actually caught by DNS's stalkers. Sometimes when they do that, they scout for a probe, they end up getting just like set apart from the defenses, and it can kind of go haywire, but that ended up just being perfect. Neeb even started to run away with his units, but decided to commit with the Adepts. The Phoenix has popped out. I thought DNS is going to try and be cheeky and go for the double Oracle thing again, but he is going Phoenix.
Phoenix started coming back in this matchup in a big way to respond to disruptors, which have also been kind of coming back in the matchup, but we haven't seen a lot of like just blind to Phoenix builds.
Well, Phoenix, this could be a surprise for Neeb, who has not gotten back there to scout. He's going to be waiting for a bit of an Oracle timing, and then once that's passed, he's going to figure maybe it's not even a Stargate opener at all, because these Phoenixes have so far kind of been hidden, right? The Adepts run in here, might be able to get a few probes if they had transferred, but Neeb doesn't want to against 4 Stalkers and a shield battery.
Already taking some flack, though. I think he's just got to go in with something or just run away a lot better.
Ooh.
Yeah, this transfer. Ooh, instant pickup, though. That reaction time at a DNS.
Yeah.
Sure, it reveals the Phoenix, but that was nice and saves the probes.
I was going to note, maybe it would have been better to continue hiding the Phoenix, but it looks like he doesn't even want to commit to it anymore. Oh, just kidding. He picks on the Phoenix. Well, anyway, he didn't seem like hiding this was his true priority, as he did react very, very quickly to it.
Another 100 bits coming in from Sir GeForce. Why does a moon rock taste better than Earth? Because it's a little meteor.
Good one. Lucid Phoenix. So I think what is important, you know, he didn't deny the scouting that Phoenix were available, but he did deny scouting on what else is coming from the Stargate. Like if there's a second Stargate, for instance, too. Although there probably wouldn't be if the Robo's already down, but what do I know? But the Oracles could have come out. You know, a Void Ray could have come out. More Phoenixes could have come out. So, you know, 3 Phoenixes is different than someone who's actually going into 10 Phoenixes, for instance. So, denial on that Phoenix scout, the hallucination from Neeb, is somewhat important. And these are just looking to be a bit of a harassment. It's weird to stop at 4, by the way. It usually is 3, 5, or just too many to count. Those are the numbers of Phoenix.
It's weird because Stalkers, obviously, they do more damage now in the hit and run scenarios, aka the Phoenix flying over them for a second. So they should be better to manage than they've ever been in the past, but it's still tough to catch Phoenix. Look at this. They just dodge right around the Stalkers, dance around them perfectly. 6 probes pick up, and, well, they're not dead yet, but he might lose one.
Ooh, his own forage. That would have been a kill move on that week's Phoenix, and this one doesn't even die. Nicely handled by DnS, who gets 7 probes for free. Just damage on those Phoenixes. He does take his back base that is less mineral patches and less dependable for, you know, longer. As Neeb takes this third, he is going to be in a better position for that specifically.
A lot of bit boss killing going on here on the side too. G-Force and Kamui and Magic Leaves all trading out with those bits. Thank you guys so much. We'll read your messages in a moment. This is a little bit of a problem. The Phoenix, I feel, haven't done like devastating damage. Obviously, the probe count actually still favors Neeb, for example. But the question is, how does this end up like messing with your tech? DnS has forced, in a weird way, Blink out of Neeb, which is not a bad upgrade. But this is another game then where Neeb's not going to have charge.
Yeah, it's not that Blink is a bad upgrade, but you're right about it being the counter to Phoenix's. But then, you know, the person going Phoenix should be going into Immortals and charge, and that counters Blink Stalkers so much more. It's such a more important dynamic than Stalkers versus Phoenix is Immortals versus Stalkers whenever DnS decides to push, or gets pushed, basically. But, you know, DnS is not pushing. The game is going on to a macro game, 3 base versus 3, maybe even 4 bases versus 4, as they both are. Actually, Neeb's already on a 4th, there you go. And their army compositions are going to even out here, probably. You know, they're going to trade, and maybe Neeb will replace those Blink Stalkers with charge lots, although he's not starting it yet. But they will... They'll get to that usual mid-game composition. No disruptors, as you said, they're kind of coming back. No disruptor game yet, but it's typical for majority of PvPs.
I was kind of hoping maybe we'd see Neeb go into it as a consequence of the later charge, right? Like, you don't have to go charge Let Archon if you can make some... Okay, charge does come down, and it was a Templar Archives, not a Robo place, so he'll get his own Archons going soon. I just got a queasy feeling in my stomach for Neeb. He just appears to be one step behind DnS.
Yeah. Well, you can see it in the numbers here. He might have gotten a better 3rd base and a faster 4th and more probes, but significantly behind in that army. The army type is also not very convincing, but because DnS is not pushing out, okay, now he finally does, and Neeb will see this with the Stalker. This might be too late anyways. Neeb might just be able to buy enough time. But he's also adding on a Stargate, looking towards the future, maybe a little prematurely. Well, DnS isn't gonna go? Okay, he is gonna go. So you can kind of avoid the violet squares on this map entirely if you go from your natural to their presumed 4th base. I guess that was kind of cool about that 3rd place match we had when he took this base. This one forces you to go through the weird squares. This one doesn't really.
Yeah, but as you know, too, you can always just knock down the rocks eventually. Like, you'll have the army to actually tear those down. However, it's worth noting a shield battery or 3 can make up for a lack of army supply, but I don't think Neeb has enough. In fact, there's barely going to be 1 shield battery at this base, maybe 2.
He is barely going to have 1 armor and charge. He almost has +2. Like, that would have been a substantial upgrade lead.
This is last game all over again. DnS's timings are so sick. This catches Neeb before he's ready to fight. Shield battery's not, it's already been drained.
Yeah.
This time needs a little bit more kick in him, but it's still tough.
Even the Phoenix helping out the tiniest little bit, maybe pick up a sentry, kill it so Guardian Shield doesn't affect the game anymore, and Guardian Shield is going to be very important. They both are out of it, and no, just pick up the Immortals, taking away the damage. Which is pretty good.
It's getting a little snowbally. I like the feedback that he threw on that Phoenix, by the way. That's a nice little touch out of Neeb. Bit of a flourish, if you will. But probes around one of these Zealots. They're trying to get in a fight, but as they stack up, the Archon's going to shred them. So that's 11 probes dead. The army's still barely trading out. Warpins here should help a bit, but there's still just so much left over for DnS, and Neeb's army supply is tanking.
Yeah, there's also better army supply for DnS. Immortals and Archons left over. GG.
Oh my God.
DnS takes a 4-0 lead. But
oh my God,
this is not how it's supposed to happen. Even with that upgrade like finalizing, he wasn't able to hold on. DnS is just hitting, as you said, these timings so well right before Neeb is really in an okay position.
It's so, like, that is so critically important. If he had hit 5 seconds later, Neeb has charge. But all of Neeb's zealots died as charge finished, so he didn't get any of that. 4-0 for DnS, guys. Like I said, maybe my call was right, and it's just a little too one-sided. It's just the other way around. Before we go to game 4, though, we do have to go to small break. And before we go to small break, let me catch up all these bad jokes that Sir G-Force dropped on us. So I'm just going to shotgun through these like Rodney Dangerfield style. How do you make holy water? You boil the hell out of it. Then says, you hear about that new restaurant on the moon? The food is great, but there's just no atmosphere. No respect. Can't get no respect. Yes, whoa. Dad jokes. Cheers, Black Spade Camry. And then lastly says, I couldn't figure out how the seatbelt worked. Then it just clicked.
What is
all right, we'll go to break. We'll see you guys soon.
No, wait. What has happened to the bit boss? Oh, I'm going to fix this. And then we'll go to the break.
What happened?
Okay, we're going to go to the break now. Oh, it could be the final game already. Less than an hour long for a best of 9. That's not what you predict.
No, that's not what you time budget either when you request front page time on Twitch. So, real quick, we have a contingency here, guys. If this is the final game, and I hope it's not, I really want Neeb to bring this back, but if this is the final game, we're thinking about doing some maybe viewer games, or maybe we'll just play some 2v2s or something. But we got a little more front page time to burn through. We got a couple more followers to grind. We're at 99,963. Oh, and a brand new sub coming in from Babylon Boop. Thank you for that, Prime. But he's on his last life. Seriously, Goku's Spirit Bomb. Channel that energy, guys. He needs it. In the top left, it's the defending Ting, Neeb.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss up 4-0, it's DnS. I'm all the way over from Europe. We've been on the East server for last game and now this game. And DnS is dominating every single time.
Wow. At the same time, you know, this is really cool for me. I always love seeing players kind of break the mold of what they're expected. I expected this to be one-sided in the favor of Neeb. The fact that this has gone the complete opposite all the way to a 4-0, even if, hypothetically, Neeb could bring this back to a 5-4, I'm still damn impressed with DnS. Because this is a player who you expect to see in a Go for StarCraft, maybe not like a WCS championship. Like, he's not built a name for himself yet. So there's just a lot of cool bonus points to other than winning prize money, winning this tournament. Like, this is a good way for him to get his name out there. I beat Neeb in a best of 9. So few people could say that. Koreans can't say that.
No, they can't. And even the Koreans predicted Neeb to win if, I guess, Impact didn't. Neeb is a very scary opponent, but something about DnS, something about PvP currently has him a little off. He didn't have a great performance at Home Straight Cup either, but he did get to the finals in TING, and he looked good in the games he won. That was a really weird way to put it, but he did lose a couple of games where it was actually questionable, like not the usual Neeb perfection, like always sending in the adepts at the right time type of stuff. But when he won the games, it looked like he was as strong as ever. Now we have him not able to get even one game here. He gets cheesed out a couple games, just saw macro games the other times. Always a little bit off. Maybe it's the new patch, just changing the dynamics of the unit interactions ever so slightly. He has to get used to it. Or, I don't know, maybe DnS deserves a lot of credit. Maybe he is actually one of the best PvPers on Europe, but kind of hidden because, as we're talking about, doesn't have a lot to his name quite yet. I don't know, but DnS does deserve the credit. We can't just say Neeb is performing badly. He is performing less than our expectations, but DnS is performing way above our expectations, and that's great.
Okay, DnS is nailing the timings and these attacks, these last 2 games. Like, he's playing well. There's no doubt, like, it's not that Neeb's playing bad, it's definitely that DnS is playing well. A lot of people bringing those French facts. Guys, we're fully well-versed with DnS at this point. He's played a lot of games in this tournament to get here. We had the round of 32, best of 5s, group style, round of 16, best of 5s, group style, round of 8, best of 5s, best of 7, semis, and now this best of 9. If anyone's been following this tournament, you know DnS at this point.
So we have adepts for DnS shooting across the map, followed up with, I think, a couple of sentries. Yes, there they are. They bypass Neeb, who was looking specifically to stop, get some extra damage on this before they even got into his natural, but doesn't block them from into the main base. And Oracle pops out, but has to now use its energy defending as opposed to attacking. Also reveals that Neeb went for a Stargate, which DnS I don't think knew about. Actually, he might have. I think he got a probe in there.
What's interesting was, I was going to say, with the second Oracle coming out, it was kind of fine to wait and use the energy a little bit. But these two Oracles are not going to get much done. There's a shield battery set up, so he has to be precise. There's Stalkers, and there's actually a shield battery in both the main and the natural.
Yeah, these should not do that much damage. Neeb maybe wanting revenge for the second game, I believe is how... Or maybe it was the first game. I think it was the first game. He lost to this exact type of build, waiting for the two Oracles and then getting too much damage done. But these Oracles were found. They were scouted. They were reacted to beautifully, perfectly. And Neeb's not even getting any leads, you know, because DNS has to react. There's always that to consider. Maybe it's not straight up probe losses, but maybe they delay their blink, which is the most obvious way that DNS could have fallen behind. Not so. This is like seconds apart here. And Neeb might be looking for an aggressive follow-up. I think DNS might just have enough. He just needs to realize what's going on and maybe add another shield battery.
Well, darting around this, he hasn't lost both the Oracles yet. Just one goes down. Revelation, Stasis Trap. This thing still actually holds a lot of useful properties going forward. But this aggressive gateway, like, this really is payback in its finest. Actually, the timing on this will be interesting. It's going to be Blink versus Blink, and in that regard, the shield batteries are probably going to win the fight, though. So, well, this is a cool move out of Neeb that killed him earlier. I don't know that this will actually kill DNS.
It's looking like the signs are... It's really lining up here for Neeb. DNS is not scouting this. I don't know if that scout in the main base told him enough. Like, there's like a forge. So perhaps that's already suspicious. But he hasn't seen the proxy gateways. His stalkers are still like in the main base, for instance, defending against Oracle pressure. When if, you know, Neeb were to attack right here, right now, that would be a substantial amount of army, not in proper placement. But after taking out the Oracle, Neeb just lost that advantage. Every single army unit comes forward to the front. There's only one shield battery, but now everything is together. DNS has a solid chance to hold, even when he doesn't know what's happening.
Still, though, that was a big deny with that probe. I was going to say, when it comes down to it, the Blink Micro is still going to be the ultimate factor here, but I think Neeb quickly realizes the power of that shield battery plus a Guardian Shield. This isn't a fight he necessarily wants to over-dedicate to, so he's got to be very careful with the way he blinks. But Neeb's Blink Micro in the past has been phenomenal. That aggressive blink forward, though, I'm not sure about that. He does snipe off some of the stalkers for it, though, so it's kind of working out for him.
That was really off by DNS. He should not have done that. He shouldn't have chased as he did. I think that was just the AI, actually, not his own command.
Oh! So sexy, because as DNS blinks in and Neeb, he's actually taking the worst fight. He's outnumbered and outgunned. Until that Immortal reaches the front line, Neeb's going to win the Stalker fight.
But that Immortal was perfectly timed. DNS didn't have the shield energy. He started losing out in the sentries, but that Immortal was just enough. Now behind this, Neeb got a third base much faster. The probe was, yeah, it tended to take third base, right? But it was more important that it got the scout and saw like, oh shit, he's about to attack me. Now he has to unfortunately cancel this third.
This element in PvP is huge, though. There is such a big emphasis on your expansion timings. DNS being behind by this for so long is massive. But, ooh, you cheeky devil. I saw this on the production tab. I thought this was just going down in the main, but proxying the Dark Shrine, Neeb shouldn't really see this coming.
DNS, I don't think he's hoping there's a lack of detection. Obviously, he killed the Oracles, and the Robo's going to be delayed with what Neeb did, but this is such a late Dark Shrine, there should be a Robo. But there's a chance the Observer, he builds only one, for instance, or he goes right into Immortal production. Either one, an Observer's out of place for multiple bases, and this can do a ton of damage because Neeb has no idea.
I really like that he knocked down the rocks there, by the way. That was awesome. Gonna guarantee that Neeb had to kind of give up for now.
He's building Immortals, not Observers. There's usually not a necessity. You have Lucent Phoenix, you just attack them, you know what they're doing. Roughly, you're going to be unprepared for a Dark Shrine.
By the way, thank you very much to Dodge Massa and Sergey Su for those. Then Sir GeForce donates $5 to say, insert epic Rifkin ad-libbed dad joke. Oh, thank you kindly. I thought it was hilarious. I'm glad you copied and pasted into the donation message.
DNS is looking for a distraction while he goes into the... No, those aren't DTs. Oh, those are. Sorry, looking in the wrong production tab. Yeah, distraction and DTs to the left side, but that Zealot just bypassed a warp prism that was suspiciously warping in nothing. I don't think he noticed. He's not getting an observer. He could go for the Robo. There's still a Stargate, but that might not be able to reinforce in time.
Now I don't think he just used enough Revelations. At the same time, though, as he goes across the map, he does get to wreck DNS's army. So no need to defend at home if you can just push to win, but at the same time, DnS is going to warp in some DTs and have no problem defending at the same time. So probes being run around, Neeb knows what's up, but he's got no detection. He's relying on that fortune. He's probably begging on cannons, or banking on cannons, excuse me.
He's trying to get an observer that wasn't targeted down, but what was targeted down was a warp prism. Yeah,
he does have one already. This is the second one that's coming out.
Yeah. That warp prism dying for Neeb, that last minute snipe by DnS was really important. Neeb might have been able to snowball with this army supply lead if he had just a round of reinforcements, but it would have been a very small round as he just used him to warp in to clean up the DTs, and it still might not have overcome shield batteries and defender's advantage.
Like you have the triangle for that prime sub. Half a square, and I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Oh my god.
These DTs, so much havoc to Neeb. However, even though he's down, what, 20 workers? The army supply so far, he's catching on a Mordot like this is huge. If it's going to come down to a base trade, I'm not feeling too bad for Neeb. Odds are these charge lots can eventually chew through the stalkers, or at least buy enough time. But Neeb's actually coming home with this, and not through a recall. He's walking home.
DnS thought it was going to be a base trade.
Yeah, he was preparing, man. He pulled the probes ready to hide those in the middle of Nexus. He's got the money built up for it. There's that recall, so he does go to the third. Neeb's going to hold on. And the fact that DnS just pulled all his probes, all that worker lead he had, out the window, because none of those are mining for 30-plus seconds. Stalkers get caught here. Neeb has found a way back into this game in a really nice way.
It's so funny that he just predicted it like that. That was a huge loss of income. Absolutely.
You know what, though? Look at the income graph. Even with having done that, he stays ahead on income.
Wow. Wow. Also, Neeb has to be very careful not to lose his observer. He only has one along with the army, and those Blink Stalkers are probably looking for it. They have two of their own, and this is such a specific move when you have DTs that can save your life. He's planning on it. He has DTs warped in. He also has so many shield batteries that even if they were detected, they can still do a lot of damage.
Oh, big catcher grabbing some of the stalkers.
He knows he's gonna try and snipe that observer.
It's tough.
Oh, he's the one sniping his though.
The counter snipe. The counter
Got
snipe.
him. But
okay, now those observers are safe and secure. Charge loss taking out a lot of the stalkers on the return. I mean, DnS has some stuff going for him, right? This is chasing Neeb around the map, giving him time to finish up his own charge, to get his own +3. Is it worth it? I don't know, but it's better than Neeb killing his third base right now.
I think it's absolutely worth it. Those stalkers just bought so much time that, yeah, +3 in charge is going to be done, but also a couple more reinforcements, very important reinforcements, because those shield batteries have been there this entire time. DnS has always been prepared to take a counterattack that the shield batteries would barely help him hold on to. And with that, plus a couple more warp-ins of charge lots, I think that he can survive most desperate scenarios where Neeb just says, F it, I'm going to attack you. And DnS, you know, that's the one weakness he would have after losing so many stalkers. With this setup, I think he's got it.
The +3 here is really dynamic, though. Not because it's 3 versus 1, but because it's Zealots and Archons. And the Archons having that extra splash damage is going to be massive. Even if Neeb does get to +2 even, it's still a huge lead to have those +3 weapons.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well,
ooh. Robo starts up. Disruptors maybe for Neeb? We've seen him do some crazy stuff with Disruptors this week.
Could be. DnS not adding on much else to his composition, just more Archons. I was going to point out that the Chrono Boost probably is all going into that. In fact, they just finished up on this one, so definitely he's going to be able to catch up on +3 now that his economy has stabilized a little bit more. Stalkers doing a run by is always weird, but at this point you don't really want Stalkers anymore. They were a huge element to the beginning and mid game here, but not anymore. Just let them die. Kill as many probes as possible. There must have been DT harassment too, right? They didn't... Yeah, over here. It's like, there's no way that those probes get 10, or the stalkers get 10 probes, but a DT that I thought was going to cancel a Nexus killed a couple probes as well, keeping DnS in that probe lead. The income has been his for majority of time. A little tiny little blip from Neeb back into this game, but...
Actually, what's really interesting is the army graph trading out the way it has this game. Just... the fact that there was such a big discrepancy, but then you can see where it meets together again. And this is mostly through, I guess, like the economic difference for that. It's kind of cool to see this catch up, so to speak.
Yeah.
Ace K in the chat if you want to pun off that too. But we are 25 followers away, guys. My heart is fucking palpitating right now. We got Neeb's life on the line. We got this milestone right in front of us. There's a lot going on for this channel right now. But fourth base is getting established, so Neeb is definitely keeping up.
Yeah, it is. I was pressing Y. It is going to be disruptors. Something that I don't know DnS has scouted.
This is interesting though, because how do you deal with disruptors? You have to know they're coming, so you can start preparing. So ability to micro the unit. It's not the here. And honestly, Neeb's not even going to need an amazing disruptor hit. Get a half decent shot, take out enough of the zealots, and that upgrade advantage disappears just through numbers of units remaining.
Losing you a bit too often on Discord.
Oh, okay, I'll
restart
the call.
Okay. Well, this game has managed to go into a bit of a lull. Surprising, considering how majority of this game went on for like 8 minutes.
Leave the call for me to restart the call, by the way.
For 8 minutes, the game has been back and forth, back and forth. But the Forge goes down with huge warp bin of units that Neeb is entirely unprepared for. Deals a ton of damage. Zealots are warped in, but they're not responding. Realizing he needs more, I suppose.
Oh, 4 disruptors is so much damage here.
The Nexus went down to the main base. That Warp Prism lived and is now going to the natural with the Immortals. This is a ton of damage. Even if DnS loses the army fight, as long as he doesn't lose in a catastrophic way, his counter damage is starting to really rack up. It looks like a couple Archons finally responded, but so much attention has been sent away from the front lines.
The thing is, though, killing the main base isn't that devastating, right? Like, okay, he just sniped the base, and that's actually a big deal. But it's a base that's pretty much mined out. The priority is on the top right base, not the top left base. I'm not going to try to make it sound better than it is, but it's not the worst case, I think. It's
not the Nexus, it's the production and the Forge that went down that was about 90% done with +3. Now he's still down in those upgrades.
We'll see if Chronos can help make up for that or not, because at least he doesn't need to be chronoing out probes at this point. He's got enough to saturate the new bases as he scatters them around. And those disruptors, they're just like their instant burst damage. He's got 2 more on the way. And again, it's not even good shots. It's decent shots will shave off huge chunks of DNS's army. Oh, you motherfuckers. People are starting to unfollow. You guys are dicks.
Oh. DnS is also trying to get to disruptors, but he needs to buy more time, and Neeb is seeing an opportunity. He's got more army supply, he's got those disruptors that kind of negate the upgrades that he has fallen way behind on if they can get the shots.
We gained 20 new followers to go up to. People are definitely unfollowing the stream just to be butts. I love and I hate you guys. Let's continue to tease us, though. Neeb's going to tease us, too, with some disruptor shots. Now, they do bonus damage to shields, but they don't wreck everything the same way they used to. They'll take out the Zealots, but not necessarily the Archons. And that's a hell of a lot of Archons for DnS. Neeb's retreating back, the cooldown's up again. But even when it is, he might not be able to sit down and shoot. He's in retreat mode.
He just lost the Disruptor. He just lost the Warp Prism. These are going to pop off on the first things that they contact with, which are a couple of Archons. So far, the Disruptor hit's not really that great. And meanwhile, a lot of damage has been done everywhere, mostly in the third base, I suppose. But another Warp is about to hit the fourth base as the engagement still continues on.
Can Disruptor save Neeb because his life is on the line? Reminding you guys, it's 4-0 in the favor of DnS. If he takes this fight, he might just take the game. Neeb's army supply is holding on, but a lot of it's not here. They were chasing the Zealots. So his Zealots are now charging to that front line, and he pushes DnS back.
But again, that damage was done. He's down to 44 probes, and this base was finally attacked with those warpins over here. This army is entirely gone. Neeb is almost doubling the army supply right now. Can DnS hold on? It's been a big question mark throughout most of this game, but he's managed to buy time instead of having to use these shield batteries. Maybe finally he has to defend at his third base.
Oh no. Disruptor versus Disruptor can be very, very tough to micromanage. And both players are probably very stressed out at this stage of the game. Neeb, for certain as well, losing this base. Cannot be happy with the way courses things are happening. And if that distracts him for even a second, the bomb Disruptor shot. He's going to get the good one! Oh! That's the type of hit Neeb needed.
Whoever shoots first. It's the same bases, but the probe count still in DnS's favor. Might change in a second as Neeb has his eyes on the fourth that has only one shield battery. But it's all about the disruptors, it seems now, and DnS, bit more bank than Neeb, is trying his best. I thought he had 2 robos. He's not using both of them.
Main base's warpin's coming again, so Neeb's going to start losing some of that protection potentially. And he doesn't have gateways elsewhere. If he loses all those pylons in the main again, he's not going to be able to reinforce at all, and he's got a bank going for him.
Those disruptors have a smaller cooldown, so you need to be very careful with chasing with zealots here. Yeah, you can see so many are going to be really great hits. How did that disruptor dodge? What?
I didn't even dodge, and he just like straight shot that in the wrong way. This is so weird though. DNS, he doesn't have much army. This is all of DNS's army, right? So he can't actually push to kill Neeb. By the time he does, even with the structures depowered in the main, Neeb should be able to get an army back up in time, I think.
That base going down is really important. DNS long distance mining with a lot more probes, but that that only helps you so much. DNS might have held on to that fight. Some beautiful disruptor hits at the last second from him, but he might just still lose overall.
This has been absolutely nuts, man. Also, Butterscott, some of you guys who are now refollowing the stream, I see you. I see you. Get the follow button. Press that follow button, you burger. Disruptor shots, though, all things considered, Neeb's army supply lead doesn't mean much if he gets a bad shot of a disruptor on him. His own zealots are pretty clumped up on the front line. Recall goes off for DNS. This is going to cost him a little bit, but not too devastating, actually.
Yeah, he saved, I think, every single unit there.
This is, I like this. Someone in chat described this as a game of soccer. It's the most deadly game of soccer.
DNS knows that base is mining. He knows that he's in trouble because he has had no mining, basically, just these last few patches for the last 2 minutes. He's in a lot of trouble, and disruptor shots just do not get the same shots they used to. They pop off on the first thing they hit, and unless you're really clumped up, it's just not going to be that great. And most of these engagements have been about people running away or running towards, which means their army is usually not that clumped up. It's not getting 16 zealots at a time. Tried to get the disruptor, just lost his own disruptors, though.
That wasn't cool. I like the attempt at being fancy. I actually think that was a good move if he had been able to pull it off, especially if he'd been able to circumvent the army and go to the mineral lines. But I think with that loss of disruptors and especially the warp prism, DNS being behind now is not just like before he had the disruptor, maybe a chance to get a good hit. No longer the opportunity. He's going to bleed out shots for these fights, and +3 doesn't matter because disruptors are just basic damage through spells. The +3 doesn't affect them.
Oh, he's just losing more and more. It's not even all of Neeb's army. If he thinks that is, he thinks he's got a shot, but so much more army supply coming through here.
For all you chatter are getting hyped about the potential reverse all kill. Neeb still has to win this game first, guys. He actually hasn't done it yet. He's looking real good, but PvP is probably the most throwy matchup I know of.
It's so hard to throw against someone who has no disruptors. This army is just... It's trying to chase, it's trying to take an okay fight, it can't.
Bottom left, though. That base has got 27 probes here. If the disruptors get to the mineral lines, everything's just naturally stacked up so badly that they'll kill all the probes. And I think Neeb's realized this.
DNS just gonna go all in, I guess. He's got a couple of disruptor. No, those are Archons.
He recalls. He's back here on the front lines. He's got twice the army supply almost. Everything's choked in here. That's going to be so good for these disruptors to get those shots. They kill the zealots. GG. Oh.
All right.
I think it brings it back for now. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, guys. He's still on his last life. He cannot lose another game in the rest of the tournament.
Yeah. That's going to be tough. But finally, DNS gets to choose the map. 5 games in.
Yeah. 5 games in. I don't say. We got a couple of subs towards the end there. I'm sorry, guys. It was really hard to not get distracted by the sick in-game hype. Those disruptors are always the most enticing, like nail-biting things to watch. So thank you, Crustja, for that Prime sub, and Crunt Jamin coming for a Prime sub as well. I gave you a shout out, but let's do it properly. Thank you, Empty Triangle, as well. All you guys hitting us up with some sub love. That's actually still not the focus of today, though. I'm gonna refresh and see you guys. Your shenanigans. We're at 99,978. We've been up 50 followers since the last time I mentioned this number, and we're only up 3 overall. You guys suck. That means 50-something people, or 47-something people unfollowed the channel just to be a butt. But Grand Bassist 1209, thank you for the Prime sub.
DNS thinking long and hard on which map to choose. There's only a finite amount left as we get into the first round of maps. If it goes to game number 8, the map pool does restart. I think the ones left are Boardwalk and Odyssey. I'm pretty sure.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's hard to check because you're on the other server with the replays. But I definitely know.
Well,
Boardwalk.
he's picking Odyssey.
Okay. Well, no one stopped me and said no. We've already played that. So good.
I hate you guys. Refreshing this page is giving me so much anxiety. So
the more you pay attention to it, the more it's not gonna happen.
I know. It's like I remember being in school and you would just watch the clock waiting for your class to end, and you're like, "Oh my god! I swear I looked 15 minutes ago and it's only been 10 seconds." Like, ugh.
All right, these players are ready. If you would join the lobby.
I am joining.
Okay.
Just look up.
Let's do this.
I was worried because what happened yesterday, of course.
Yeah. This still could be the last game. DnS has a convincing lead in what could be the rest of the best of 9 if Neeb really is going to bring it back. But that was a hard-fought battle that DnS had a couple of winning moments in even. So I actually think DnS has got it, unless he just like starts to fumble all the oranges, right?
This actually reminds me, again, I keep referencing it, but Neeb versus Hellraiser, right? Where Neeb was not necessarily winning, then he went Disruptors and started getting some sick fights that he was just not getting before. So maybe Disruptors are his jam. Maybe we just need to see more of those. Regardless, though, folks, before we do the intros, big thank you to Ting for making all this possible. If you're a United States resident and you guys are on Wi-Fi all the time and you're not someone who uses your phone to, like, watch YouTube videos 24 hours a day while you're on the bus, Ting might be for you. Their phone bills are less than $25 a month, and if you use bttv.ting.com, you get $25 off your bill, basically making it free for a month to try. They don't use contracts. You pay month to month. You can leave at any time. They're awesome folks, and we've been working with them for over 2 years. So give them a check out over on bttv.ting.com. But their player has 1 point on the board finally. In the top left, it's the blue Protoss, Ting's Neeb.
In the bottom right has the red Protoss. It is DnS. Surprise 4-1.
Well, we are coming to what is hopefully not, but potentially the end of the stream with this best of 9 being the grand finals and all. I do want to remind everybody that we have a shotgun week of Corsair Cups coming up. So if you guys are StarCraft fans, for Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we've got 3 European tournaments this week. And then, of course, Tuesday is the Alima League, as always. So if you've just joined us from the front page, or maybe you've just found us for the first time for whatever reason, make sure you do hit the follow buttons, or at least keep up with the events if you're going to troll us with an unfollow. That way you don't miss out on anything, because for, again, 4 more days, every day we're going to be live with some StarCraft 2, and it's going to be high-quality players, awesome streaming, good times, and I want you all to make sure you join us for it.
So another Probe Scout versus Probe Scout. DnS has gotten a couple of these games due to some tricky follow-ups to what Neeb assumes. Neeb gets the Scout, leaves, assumes the Nexus goes down, assumes that it's a, gateway or a Stargate put before it or something like that, and then either guesses wrong or just has things out of position. DnS, as I said, I don't know if he can keep getting those tricks done, and the last couple games have been just full-on macro. Expect similar things to happen here. Neeb goes for a Robo first.
Robo could lead into Disruptors, I'm saying here with like question mark. Like I really like what he did last game, but well,
what?
This is some kind of interesting mind games coming up. But Neeb's gonna scout this with that probe going back to the main.
Well, that's why he canceled the gateway. So he still sees a suspicious lack of X tech. I mean, obviously you got to throw down something. So that might still have him wonder. Oh yeah, he knows. He's like something's off. He's trying to scout, or maybe. No, that's a
this
scouting.
might just be a normal stalker attack, to be honest.
Usually you'd go down this way, but yeah, it's looking like he's just going to try and meet the stalkers of DnS. This is still one way to do well against a push like this, because you already are dealing damage. You don't get that same snowball effect where every single stalker of all stalkers warped in have full health, but he actually sees them and retreats.
Keep getting all these Twitter notifications of somebody who tweeted that they were cheering for Jesse over Rifkin. Thank you
Hey.
for tagging me in that tweet.
You're welcome.
I get to watch all my friends favorite your.
Maybe they're favoring it because they know you won and they're proud of you, and they're like, yeah, that Zymergup sucks. She called it wrong.
Yeah, that's what I do. I favorite tweets that I hate and disagree with all the time.
No, you favorite tweets though that are cheeky, right? They're like, you know, someone did end up losing after everyone's like, no, they're going 100%. You favorite them because they're like, you know what you're doing. People do that all the time. All the time.
I hate you.
They do. I've seen, like, because Twitter has the whole, like, this person liked this feature now, I get to see people's private likes, and I can really judge them off of it.
I like a lot of lewd pictures, I'm not gonna lie, and I know people see that all the time, and I'm just not caring at this point.
No, I see more like people like favoriting Trump tweets, right? Because they're funny. But right, continuing on.
Continuing on, the Stargate, of course, never actually got scouted, and Neeb is pushing out. He's got the Warp Prism in tow. This is going to be really dangerous. There's no time to recall. He's not going to get back in time to stop this. He could go full bore and potentially kill DNS at home, but the likelihood of that's so low with 3 shield batteries set up on the front lines. So here comes the Oracles to the main base of Neeb. Neeb's still pushing. But these Oracles are going to fry so many probes. And Neeb's already down a significant amount.
He expected this. He's built 3 shield batteries while he desperately tries to get to his own robo.
No!
Shield batteries. I don't know if it is good.
The Immortals are a lot of damage. Yeah, the shield batteries are trying to heal through it. They're actually doing a pretty damn good job. I'll give them that much. Maybe Warp Prism Micro is what it's going to take. He keeps those sentries alive.
Another Guardian Shield is available, and that might just be the kicker. 3 shield batteries done and gone. The Oracles could try and come back to help out. There's only so many Stalkers left over. They could definitely take out the Guardian Shield sentries, but just going to wait a second here. He's collecting himself, get a couple of Zealots now, too.
Okay, the Immortals have to be micro through this Warp Prism. They're out of barriers. They've been triggered. The damage from the Stalkers is pretty good. Now DNS's own Immortals are coming out. GG!
Oh, dang.
But at the same time, congratulations, DNS. But no!
DNS with the 5-1 against Neeb. An unexpected result, and in such fast form as well. One game with 22 minutes. The other games were pretty swift. And that's it. That's the grand finals right there. Neeb says GG before he logs off, and we have DNS as our grand final victor.
That's awesome, though, for DNS, man. We've talked a lot about how that's a pretty big deal. Like, he's played underdogs for O Gaming and, like, a lot of these other tournaments that go for StarCrafts, but I really can't think off the top of my head, at least, like, a really big win for him, and Ting Open is quite the challenge of a tournament. You can, like, get snooty and turn your nose up about the prize pool, or you can justify whatever for cross-server stuff, but the reality is, it's a $5,000 tournament. There's so many good players. It starts with best of 5. So, like, this is a rigorous tournament through and through.
Yeah. DNS, not anyone's pick to go through the whole entire tournament. That's a lot of games to go through.
So, quick note, I did message DNS, try to catch him before he ran off to see if he'd like to do a quick winners interview, because we don't seem to get enough of these. He says he has a microphone but no camera, so what we'll probably do, guys, is go to a small break. We'll play some sponsored ad content and all that, courtesy of our sponsors making this tournament possible, and then we'll get DNS on to talk briefly and see how he feels about the win. Also, I know you guys have been unfollowing to be trolly. I'm asking as nice as I can. I hope you will refollow once the stream is over at the very least. But we're at 99,990, 10 to go. Let's go to that break. Let's get those ads out of the way so we can grab DNS to come on and have a chat with us.